I'm very excited because this is our first episode, and today I have with me the wonderful Joy Anna Gooch.
Hello.
So Joy Anna, it's so good to have you on the podcast. It's funny now doing this, like talking all formally, because we've just been behind the mic like, but I'm so excited. I can't believe we're doing this.
I'm so excited to be here.
We're getting used to like having this in our ears, aren't we? And
Yep.
hearing everything. But I think it's going to be good. So, basically, on this podcast, I am planning to ask everybody a question at the beginning, and I haven't told you what it is, but it's nice and simple, hopefully not putting you too on the spot. But I just wanted to know, what is one thing that has given you joy today?
Good question.
One thing that's made you smile.
One thing that's given me joy. I think you. Is that an answer? Because I think as soon as I got here, you've given me joy. It's been you, Kat.
Well, that's very nice. Thank you. I wasn't fishing for a
a compliment. It's okay.
but you've given me joy as
I was
well.
going to say, what's given you joy?
Well, yeah, seeing you. It's like a cop out. But no, because I've been like all busy getting the podcast ready. I'm at there. But the reason I asked you to be the first guest on the podcast as well is because I know you're someone that puts me at ease and, you know, just feel calm and I know I can be completely myself and not be judged and stuff. So I was like, nice. I need Joy Anna because she's going to make me feel comfortable on the pod.
On the pod.
And also it just reminds me, and like random tangent, but obviously we both know Tabby and Robbie. We'll give them a shout out.
The legends, the webs.
Legends, the webs. Because Robbie has been really helping me set up the podcast, recommending equipment. Also my friend Katie Gibson, you know Katie Gibson as well.
Katie.
She's the reason you're talking into that microphone right now because she recommended that one.
This is a good microphone.
Yeah.
It's puffy.
It's puffy, yeah. But also I've just got to say, if you are watching via video, obviously I've got some kind of like masking tape thing going on over my mic. So I was setting everything up. And for literally months, I thought I've got all my equipment ready because my brother is a musician and he's got a studio and he has loads of mic stands in there, but that he got them from his music college, like just before he left or just after, whatever it was. And so he was like, oh yeah, I've got loads of mic stands. You can just have one. So I've just had one here. And when I went to set it up, there was no clamp to put the microphone on.
Oh no.
And I was like, why is there like, he's got like 10 microphone stands or something with no clamps because he's not used them yet. So I don't think he realised. And I was like, oh, they've done you dirty there, Eddie.
Definitely.
Not really. But he said they always do, like when they're sold in a shop, they're always sold separately. But I'm like, why? Because you can't use it otherwise.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh gosh, I haven't really got time to go and buy one today. And I was like, do you know what? I'm just gonna put
DIY
tape over
it.
Yeah, DIY. And I've got it over there. I can't reach for it. But I actually had this like Hindu sash, like a bride tribe sash that's pink. And I tried like wrapping it round because I thought that might look pretty, but it just looked like a pink bandage that I'd tried to like. No. So I just thought it is what it is.
Exactly. And it's working.
Yeah, it is working. It's staying together so far. My hands are here ready to catch it if I need to.
You need a mini trampoline just in case it falls.
And I hope this jumper looks okay because it's like it feels really baggy. So I'm how does it look on the camera?
Right. If you're listening to this podcast without the video, you're missing out on a sight because Kat's jumper is beautiful. On the back it says, if you're seeing this, then what does it say? You're blessed, or the world is better because you're in it, is what it says.
Yeah,
right?
It says, dear person behind me, the world is a better place with you in it. Love the person in front of you. It's like a trend. I don't know even the company that make it, but at the front it says you are enough, which is a message for all of you. You are enough. Amen to that.
Amen.
Sister.
And it's not you are enough, but it's you are enough.
Yeah exactly.
We're not even gonna get into that.
We went to see that film together, didn't we?
We did, yes. That was good.
Well, actually, there's a story behind that because I knew this would happen on the podcast, but this is what's happening. Get all these stories out. So that was the day we were meant to film the podcast, wasn't it? But we had to cancel, unfortunately. My granddad wasn't well. And that was like over 3 months ago now. So we still went to the cinema that evening because I'd managed to like finish seeing him but we ran out of time to do the podcast. But then I managed to yeah, go see Barbie. But yeah, that's crazy. So we're
Yeah.
finally doing it
We're
again.
doing it now.
And I'm so happy that you could come and do it.
I'm happy to
because
be here.
You're a local girl to me as well, aren't you? You live very close.
Yippity do.
And actually, why don't we start with this?
Yes.
Interestingly, your place of living was classed as Northeast London on a certain TV show, wasn't it?
Yes, that did
Yes. Would you like to tell us more? And wait, but
Yes.
first of all, would you agree? Is it Northeast London or is it Essex?
Right. This is a very controversial topic.
It is.
Right. All my life, I have called it Northeast London. Okay. This is
You have?
I have. Yes. This is a
Whoa.
fact to Kat even. But the thing is, when I get a delivery, it will class it as Romford and then Essex. So, is it in Essex? Is it in Greater London? I think it's both. Me and my mum were having this conversation yesterday, and we were saying it's kind of both. It's a merge, but then we do pay London taxes. So I think
And we're
we are
in
in
the
London
ULEZ now.
exactly. You know, so I think we may be Northeast London.
But I don't feel like I live in London. Do you?
I feel like I do,
Wow.
but not like just Greater London. It's like the suburbs, you know.
Yeah, I'm in the suburbs.
The suburbs.
Yeah.
You feel like you live in Essex? Do you feel like you live in
Yeah,
Essex?
I've always grown up calling it Essex.
Yeah.
But I suppose then when I went into performing, it was in my favour to live in London. I called it more London since then. But yeah, obviously we are in London because we have the red buses. We have like 3 tube lines basically, don't we? We've got the District line, the Elizabeth line. And
Love the Lizzie line.
what's we've got the Overground, which isn't a tube, obviously. And we've got, other London ones? Is C2C a London one? But like definitely the District line and the Elizabeth line.
Yeah.
And we've obviously, as I said, the red buses. We're in the ULEZ. So, and it doesn't take long to get, especially now with the Lizzie line. I love it. It's like,
the Lizzie line.
we're like, what, 20 minutes from Stratford.
Air conditioned.
Oh,
space.
so good. And it's like 40 to 45 minutes from Tottenham Court Road now.
Brilliant.
So good.
Changed my life, and I'm not joking with you.
It's actually so good, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's everything the Central Line isn't.
Yeah. It is.
You know?
It is. You don't have to change now to get the Central Line. But in answer to this controversial topic, I agree. I think it's both because you can put both on the address and it will end up at the same place.
That's so true.
My brother works for like, you know, I hesitate because I was like, am I allowed to say where he works? But he works for like something to do with Romford, and he said that it's classed in work as London.
Okay. Well, then.
So, yeah. I don't know.
It's
I think
both.
you can call it both. It's the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is a whole other story, how much we love Hannah Montana. But, you know, anyway, I had a party the other day.
Okay, hang on. We've got to talk about your party.
Should we?
Yes.
Okay.
Kat had this amazing Hannah Montana Disney Channel party. Yeah. And she dressed up as Hannah Montana, and she looked gorgeous. Aww. She had long blonde locks.
Oh, it was so fun.
And it was so much fun.
It was literally such a dream come true to have that party. Like, I've always wanted to dress up as Hannah Montana for a long time, and just have all the Disney Channel vibes. And everyone was so fun. Like, everyone was so into it, weren't they? Because you know, you need you need the guests. That's hard to say that word. To be involved, you know. We did a lip sync battle, didn't we? Do you know what I was thinking yesterday? I like stopped in my tracks and I was like, did you do a lip sync battle?
Well, me and Tabby, again, shout out to the Webs, who's dressed up as a cow, as you do.
Tabby's.
Cowbell.
We'll get Tabby on the podcast so you will know everything we mean about Tabby.
Yes.
She's amazing.
She's wacky in all the best ways. She and I were going to do Love as an Open Door from Frozen. But then it never really happened, and I don't really know why.
No, I don't know why.
I know. We'll still have to do it another time. We'll get it.
Definitely, because I was like, I can't believe Joy Anna didn't.
I know.
But there was so much going on that night.
I know. There was so
and
much
then literally today I was like, how did Joyce not do it? She's like perfect for lip sync battles.
Well, I was your background dancer.
Yeah,
so that's all I need in life.
Yeah,
that was
you
fun.
were. That was amazing. Like, yeah, I recreated the last scene from the Hannah Montana movie. Not the last scene, but the scene where she reveals that she is Miley. And Joy Anna was one of my backing dancers, and it was that was like just honestly a bucket list moment. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, you've been
like,
waiting for that moment for like 10 years
Yeah.
or probably longer.
my childhood self would be like, going crazy. But you were Minnie Mouse, and you were the cutest Minnie Mouse. And okay, we have to talk about this too, because we're going to be talking about this in the podcast, that you have many hobbies and you do many amazing things. And one of those things is you bake, which I only literally realised recently, because I know you as, we haven't even introduced what you do, but you're an actress, you are working for a very cool person, which we'll speak about, and just so many things. Obviously we've been in a musical together, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but along with all those things you do, I realised you also bake professionally. And I was like,
not sure about professionally.
You do. You literally do. And you made me the most amazing cake. I've always wanted, like, I have had, I mean, I've sounded a bit spoiled then. I have had 2-tier cakes before. But like, it's always like the dream, isn't it? To like not just have one tier, but have another tier.
It's the mark up, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I had this amazing 2-tier Hannah Montana cake, chocolate on the bottom, vanilla on top. Oh, it was just so good. I just bit my lip.
It's just so tasty.
So,
like,
yeah, I want to eat the cake right now. But yeah, it was amazing. You started that during lockdown, right?
I did, yes. Throughout lockdown, obviously people weren't going out, and so I ended up doing cakes for friends and mutual friends, and kind of started building up a bit of a clientele, and then just making cakes for people. Yeah, just happened, and it's fun. It's time consuming, but it's really fun, and it like just brings the next dimension to a birthday party. Do you know what I mean? When you have like someone making a cake, it feels special, and yeah, that was good.
Yeah, and you've done wedding cakes, which I think is such a flex, like to do a wedding cake.
It's yes, but it's also a stress.
Yeah,
like, I mean, luckily this was quite a laid back wedding, and she just wanted kind of one of those naked frosted cakes, you know, like a white. And then her fiance was South African, so she wanted like figs and South African like fruit on it, which
you would know
quite
about.
Fun. Exactly. My father, my dad, Sean Gooch, is South African and grew up there. So yeah, I mean, yeah. Love making a cake from time to time.
Yeah, well, you're brilliant. Can you tell everyone what your Instagram handle is for your
Yes.
baking page? Because I'll add it in your notes as well. In the notes
In my
on
notes.
YouTube, it will be, as they say, down there, and however you get to in the description on the other things.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So it is at @itsme_Joy's Bakes.
Amazing.
On
You heard it
Instagram.
from the lady herself. I just realised as well, before we do move on to talking about how we know each other and getting really into the nitty gritty of this podcast, all filled with hope and fun things, I realised that we've left everyone hanging because they're probably thinking, you didn't tell me what TV show you were on. So
We did. So tangented? Is that a word?
tangented. I don't know
We
what it is
tangented
now.
so much that we are on the other side of the world now. But I will say, so it was basically a bit of a mad experience. It was Channel 5, and it's called Wife on Strike. And it's essentially, my mum applied for our family to do it, and she went away. Well, okay, we didn't know this was going to happen. There was a twist, is what they called it. And they filmed us for 3 days, like our normal day-to-day life. And then my mum left us a WhatsApp video, and they were filming us opening this WhatsApp video, and she went, I've had enough. I'm going on strike because I do more cleaning and more baking and more, well, not the baking, the cooking than anyone else. Than anyone else in the house. And I've had enough. Like, there's too much pressure for her. No one is lifting a finger compared, like, you know, she works full time and she also cleans everything. So she'd had enough. She left, and that was on her strike. And then basically the team filmed us find this out, and basically had to survive without her for a whole week.
Was it a whole week?
It was a whole week, and we didn't know it was gonna. She just said, "I'll only get back when you make a change," so we didn't even know how long it was gonna be. Ended up being a week, and they filmed us throughout the process, and everything's available now on Channel 5. Catch up, and there's a new episode every Monday at 9 p.m. So there you go.
And you're on the first episode.
We are on the first episode,
Yeah.
featuring with another family. So yeah, that was such a fun experience. It was just weird, like a bit surreal, but yeah, it was good. It was a good experience, and all the team was so nice.
Cool.
Like all the people, the guy who came to film us, I don't know if I'm allowed to say his name, but he was brilliant, and such a nice team.
That is literally so cool. I loved watching it. It was so cool. And we were actually, it was like towards the end of our first tour of It As Well with My Soul. I always say It As Well, and I'm like, that's not the full title. It's It As Well with My Soul. But we were filming that, weren't we? And then you were just casually like, oh yeah, there's a film crew at my house as well. I was like, what?
I remember that day when you came to pick me up, because we were going to Oxford that day, weren't we? For our last It As Well with My Soul performance.
Yes.
And I remember getting into the car and being like, oh yes, they're just filming my mum do things, and you're like, what?
Because I think the day before you was like, oh, we're just tidying up, it's a really long story or something like that. He was like, we're just getting something ready, and I was like, okay, like, what's this about? So that kind of leads us on to, we'll talk about, obviously we have worked together in a show, and we're literally going to be back doing that show in just over a week.
Yes.
So by the time you're watching this, we might have already done it, but hopefully you'll be watching it before the 13th of January, which is our next date after that. But we'll talk about all of that. But before we get on to that, explain to us how we met. I'd like to hear. I'd like to hear if you remember the first time you met me as well. Like, do you remember?
Okay, so there's two situations where I remember meeting you. So I think I'm trying to remember the very first time, because I think it was at choir, wasn't it?
Yes, I think so.
So again, Tabby, if she features again.
Tabby strikes again.
Tabby strikes again. She is ex-West End. For those of you who don't know her, you're missing out. And she was in like Phantom and Les Mis, and she's had a career in the West End. And she started a choir. I have lessons with her, singing lessons, and she started a choir about 2.5 years ago, I'd say, maybe almost 3 actually, I think.
Wow.
And she, so basically through that, I think we met, because I was going to the choir, and then you joined, and we met through there. And then we also, so she started in the Christmas, she started in October, I think, last year or something like that. And in the summer, we did a summer concert, and we did a trio together.
Yes, that's how
me and Tabby. We did like this, and it was a Sondheim piece of music. What was it? It was called
Drive a Person Crazy from Company.
There you go.
Yeah.
And we had like all like very Andrew sisters close harmonies together, and that was really fun. I think that was the first time that we kind of met.
That's so true, actually. Gosh, and that's like, how long ago is that now? That was the summer before last, right? So that's like 1.5 years.
18 months ago.
Wow. Yeah. It feels like I've known you for so much longer than that.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, that's crazy. But I think I remember meeting you at choir, because I joined the choir, and obviously people say to you like, oh, what do you do and stuff. And so I was telling people, because I just recently finished drama school, so I was telling people that I do that and I do performing and stuff. And because I did musical theatre at Conti, and I just recently finished. And anyway, I met Tabby through West End Has Faith, which is definitely going to get spoken about in this podcast if it hasn't already done on this episode. I mean, if it hasn't already on this series, West End Has Faith, it's definitely going to come up. But I kind of heard about Tabby through that, then realised she goes to a church local to me that I was like, that my church does a lot of stuff with. So I was like, no way, this is so cool. And then I saw that she'd started a choir, and I literally had this notebook where, when I was at college and I was like a bit stressed, but it was coming to the end, I kind of made a list of things to look forward to when I finished, and it was all things that I wanted to do once I wasn't at drama school anymore. And one of those things was join a choir. And I found all of this about Tabby's choir, and I was like, this could not be more perfect. And so I joined the choir, which is in Romford, and I remember telling people that I'm a performer and stuff, and they was like, oh, you should meet Joy Anna, she's an actor.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I literally remember people being like, oh, Joy Anna's at Guildhall, because that's we'll speak about that, you do classes at Guildhall. And they was like, yeah, you should chat to her. And I also, because I'd heard about you, and I think I didn't speak to you for quite a few weeks. Like, I didn't, because it was always busy, like didn't get the chance to meet you. And because I remember when it was your 18th birthday and you wasn't there, but like Tabby got the whole choir to like sing happy birthday.
Yes.
Yeah. And I remember being like, I want to meet this girl. Yeah. And then I think maybe it was one day at choir I like came up to you and like was like, oh hi, like introduce myself to you or whatever. And you were doing a lot of extras work at the time. And I think I just kind of started doing some extras work. So I remember, I think that was maybe our first conversation.
We bonded over extra work.
Yeah, Casting Collective.
Yes. Oh, yes, Casting Collective. We love that.
So yeah, and then we did the trio.
Yes.
And that was like in the summer. And we were obviously going to Tabby's and rehearsing. So we got to know each other a little bit more. And because we had the group chat, the three of us, and it was Crazy Girls.
Yes.
And I think I didn't realise for ages that, like, because Tabby obviously wrote it as Crazy Girls because we were singing Drive a Person Crazy.
Yeah.
But I thought she was just saying that we are crazy, which we are.
Jinx.
Ooh, which is a Hannah Montana reference. Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, but that's when we kind of, became good pals. And I can't even remember how it went from.
I don't know.
Yeah. Then.
Yeah.
Well, I know, like, because obviously we had the shared interest of both being actors.
Yes.
And both, like, being quite new, like, or fresh out of training or in training. And then my singing teacher was in South Pacific. He was the conductor and the MD. And so we went to see, because I was like, who can I take? Because my mum couldn't come when she was meant to be coming with me. And so I asked you if you wanted to come. And then, we probably got to know each other quite well from that trip.
Yeah.
Like, we did know each other well already.
That was our first kind of like, we're getting together to do something that isn't like singing related, or do you know what I mean? We were proper bonded,
and we still went to see a show.
and we saw a show, obviously. That was such a fun, that was really fun.
So then forwarding through, I think that was November, and I was already in the pipeline to do it as well with my soul. And when did you get asked to do it? Do you remember?
I think you sent me a text because, of course, Katrina was the person who got me into it. Forever grateful.
Well, you got
to
yourself
her for
into
that.
it, girl,
Yeah, well, but you know what I mean.
I recommended you. She's really good.
And she sent me a text. I think it was like February.
Okay, yeah.
So I remember sitting on the district line coming back from work and getting this text from you, and I was like, this is interesting, this is very exciting. And I think you'd forwarded me Gareth's number, and which I'm sure we will talk about in a minute.
Gaza.
But so I think then G I think we then so then obviously since then we've been working with each other in rehearsals and in the show.
Yeah,
really.
and we became sisters because
And
we played sisters in the show.
Exactly.
But we feel like sisters outside as well.
We do.
I feel like you're my little sis, but not really little because you don't feel younger than me. But would you like to tell everyone how old you are?
I am. Yes, I will. I am currently 19 years old, but I'm turning 20 in January. So I'm turning the big 2-0 soon, which is quite.
I was about to say something really stupid then.
Double figures. Guys must go double figures. I've been double figures for 10 years now. Okay.
I don't know why I did that.
I'm leaving the ones behind.
You make me blush.
I love it. This is brilliant.
So yes, you're turning 20, which is crazy. I just turned 24, but I think my mental age is probably about 17. So
and especially after a show, right? Especially like the adrenaline after a show.
Oh gosh,
you're definitely 17 after a show.
Yeah, I remember when I was younger because I would get so hyper, and I remember thinking I never want to like lose this when I grow up. Yeah. And I hope I stay true to that 12-year-old me that felt that.
I think that's important to keep that.
Yeah, and I think together we help each other do that. Like we go a bit crazy together, don't we?
Oh yeah.
Oh, like, yeah, if you want to like see the craziness, I don't know how much it even translates through on there because I've done some YouTube in the past and I do still intend to do more, but I vlogged like the musical and we were just so hyper that entire rehearsal process, like the show. We worked so hard, but like we got through the like long hours and stuff by just like having so much
totally in rehearsal and
crazy.
Also in the shows, right? Like, in the shows it's like you get tired and then you go past the point of tiredness and both of us together just knock off each other and we're just like mad.
Yeah,
like crazy. Mad.
And everyone else was crazy as well. Like we were all just crazy together. I remember being outside like Domino's or something, and like being outside waiting for pizza, and we were just doing ballet on like the dirty metal bar, like we were holding it and doing ballet.
We were doing bar, weren't we?
Yeah, this makes me
Pliés
realise
and
how
tendus.
stagey we are.
We're super stagey.
Yeah.
Get out now if you don't like stagey.
No, stay with us. We'll convert you.
We will convert you. Stay around.
Stick around. Yeah, so about it as well with my soul.
Yes.
So this is a musical that we both ended up getting involved with. Both got our own kind of stories about how that came around. But it's an amazing professional musical theatre show, brand new musical that is based on the true life story of Philip and Lucy Bliss, and also Horatio and Anna Spafford, and all the other amazing characters in this show. So Philip Bliss was a hymn writer in the 1800s, and he wrote the famous hymn "It Is Well With My Soul" along with Horatio Spafford, and that was inspired by a tragic true story. And the story basically follows them throughout their journey in their life, and about God's faithfulness with it all. And actually that story fits in really well to the Those Who Hope podcast theme, so because they really are great examples of people who hoped in the Lord even in really awful circumstances, but saw how God would bring them through. And such an inspiring story that I'm just so grateful that we're both a part of, because I mean, it's taught me loads. We were even talking about this before the podcast, weren't we? Like ways it's spoke to me in my personal life and stuff like that. And I'll definitely get Gareth on the podcast to tell us all about how he came to write in this show. Of course, we've mentioned Gareth already. He wrote the show, and in the last tour he played Philip Bliss. Now we actually have Adam, who's going to be playing Philip,
Stone,
and Gareth is going to be playing Walter Guest, who is a great character as well. You need to come and watch the show to know what we're talking about. It's a really good show. We're also on the original cast album, which was so fun recording that, wasn't it? So yeah, go check that out. I'll put that in the description too. What was it? Oh yes. So what I was going to say is the characters you play in the show was obviously you play my younger sister Clara, amongst some other characters too. And there is a new addition to the rewrite of the script that we're going to be premiering, I guess, in just over a week, which is crazy.
Which is mad.
We're doing Dunstable in Luton and Ealing in London, and then on the 13th we're going to be at the Other Palace, which is, I guess you could say, our West End debut.
It basically is,
which is crazy.
Central London.
Yeah, it is. Like, is it an off West End or is it West End? I don't know. Hannah Lowther called it West End when she was in Heathers.
We can call it West End.
Yeah, it's where Heathers was, but we're in the like studio theatre, so it is the smaller one, but like we're in the room, we're in the theatre where it happens, which is really exciting. That's on the 13th, so I'm hoping by the time this podcast comes out, you'll know about that in time. But I'm just saying the tickets are going to sell quite fast, I think, because there's only 100 or 120. I think there's maybe 100 seated and 20 standing.
Okay.
But if the tickets do sell out quickly for that, hopefully we're going to have lots more dates of this show, and there's more to be announced on that. Yeah, which is so exciting. But tell us more about the new script and about your characters.
Yeah, so very, very excited about this. So Gareth has done a rewrite with Anna Spafford in the show. So Anna Spafford is Horatio's wife, and I won't give away too much of the story, but there is a big tragedy that happens and that takes place in the show. And Anna is obviously the wife of Horatio, and this whole thing happens to both of them. So it's, it's a tough role because obviously she's going to go through some stuff, but we mainly see her before all that happens. So it's to introduce the audience to this family who are lovely, but something is going to happen to them. So it's a bit of a foreboding, I think. But yeah, I'm super excited to be able to represent someone else in the show, because of course I play Kat's sister, or Lucy's sister, Clara, who's a very sarcastic, witty person. She's a bit, how do you describe her? She's playful, but she's a bit...
she's got
a bit of a...
she's got a bit of sass to her, really.
She's got a sassy side.
Yeah, she has.
She definitely does. So
no messing around.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And she likes to wind
Philip up. Yeah, massively. So it's been interesting, like in this process of preparation for the show next week, to differentiate the characters and to see like how they're going to differ But yeah, no, just in general, I'm just so excited that there's another character in the show. And I'm like, also, it's great because if you've seen the show before, come back because there's new stuff in it now. So that's cool. And if you haven't seen the show, still come and see it because it's brill.
Literally, please come and see it. Yeah, that is super duper exciting. And yeah, so obviously we're talking here about a Christian musical and this podcast, or it's a musical about Christians, I guess. It's not just a Christian musical because it's for everyone to come and watch and enjoy, hopefully. But it does bring messages of faith into it. And that's the same with this podcast. Like, I'm hoping that the audience will be people that have a faith themselves, but also just people that want to hear just real stories, real people. And it's all about, you know, I want to just inspire people and help people and be real. Like on this podcast, I want to talk about mental health things. And obviously there's going to be probably quite a lot about the performing industry and stuff, which isn't always, you know, sunshine and rainbows. And yeah, and just kind of be really real, really transparent and really admitting that even though there is all of that, there is still always a reason to hope. That's kind of my that's probably, I listened to another podcast that has inspired me a lot, which is the Woe That's Good podcast by Sadie Robertson. And that's a whole other story because we're hoping to go to Nashville, aren't we? Yes. And Louisiana to her conference. But yeah, I literally love her podcast so much. Okay. Right, everybody. Sorry, you might have, if you notice any changes, probably mainly with the beautiful Joy Anna over here. The light might be a bit different. The angle might be a bit different. It's because my video camera ran out of, well, it stopped recording and it is running low on charge. So we have switched cameras. But hopefully it's all cushy from here on in.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Woo-hoo. And I think where we left off was, I was about to talk about how on the Those Who Hope... No, that's my podcast. I was about to talk, but that's a plug. Watch it. I hope you are watching it. Carry on watching it and listening to it. Okay. On the Whoa, That's Good podcast by Sadie Robertson, which I definitely recommend, she always asks at the beginning, what is the best piece of advice you'd ever been given? And what I was going to say is, I've thought about, if I was on her podcast, what would I say? And I think the best piece of advice, I've always thought I wouldn't know what to say, but it's not even something that's been given to me as such. It kind of has, because me and my friend Irene, shout out to her, you know Irene, have you met her properly?
Informally, yes.
Oh, yes, at my house, literally a year ago.
At your house.
Yesterday
and also,
was a year ago.
She did a singing for Ukrainian... It was like to raise money for Ukraine.
What was that? World Refugee Day?
Yeah, I think it was something like that. And they did that at Trafalgar Square. So I met her there as well.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Shout out to Irene. She's also going to be on the podcast. But me and her always talk about hope. Like, it's our favourite word. And we say hope is the most important thing. So I suppose the advice kind of came from those conversations that made me really think about it. But for me, hope is my absolute favourite word, because I think when you go through hard times and things like that, hope is the real thing that keeps you grounded. Hope isn't just like a fluffy word to me. It's like the real thing that when you've got nothing else, you hold on to hope, and you hope that, and you the hope isn't just hoping that it's true. As a Christian, it's knowing it's true, even in the midst of all types of circumstances, that God has got you and he's going to come through and it's going to be okay. And it makes me think of that Lauren Daigle song, Gonna Be Okay, which is like, oh, I love it. I know you love Lauren Daigle. She's an amazing artist, sings amazing songs if you want to go check that song out. But yeah, I'd love to go even more into that, because hope is what's kept me going, really, and it's what's helped me through all the challenges I've been through in life and things with my mental health and stuff. But the reason I brought this up, we will obviously on this podcast get to talk loads more about hope, but the reason I brought that up is because I just wanted to ask you about your faith and about maybe how you became a Christian, what that looks like for you. Just, yeah, tell us a bit about it. Oh, because I remember as well, the reason I wanted to ask that was because, as we were saying, the musical we were talking about, that's not just for Christians, it's for everyone. And the same with this podcast. I want it to be about for everyone, I'm going to be interviewing a lot of Christians, and we're going to be sharing why we have the hope that we do. But I hope that's something that everybody can kind of benefit from and enjoy listening to and be inspired by. So tell us a bit about your faith.
Okay. Well, first of all, I love that, what you just said. That's brilliant. And I think that's really what we need. And second of all, my faith. Right. Well, I grew up in a Christian household. My parents are Christian, and kind of went to a Christian school, as well as like a church that was connected to that. And yeah, kind of was just born into it, which is kind of an easy answer. I think lots of Christians are kind of born into it. But then there comes a point in your life where you have to be like, is this what I want? Is this what I actually want to keep doing? Because it's a choice. It's like, it's not, so that came probably in the last year, I'd say. And so a bit about this, because it kind of affects the story, is that I was homeschooled for a while for my ballet. So I was training as a pre-professional, like doing pre-professional ballet training. So I couldn't do that with school. So I had to be taken away. They had to take me away and homeschool. I did a homeschool course for about 4 years, from year 8 to year 11. So GCSEs, and throughout that's that point,
age like 12 to 16.
Yeah, about that kind of age. So throughout that, I was still like walking in Christianity, if that's a thing you can say. But kind of not, I don't know, just not specifically a center point of my life, but it still existed. And then from then I went to college, so like a massive college, 2,500 people, massive. Wow. From being just me on my own.
Was that in
Havering sixth form? Yeah. So there I did performing arts and blah blah blah. Doesn't matter, that's irrelevant. But in that time I kind of did think like, I still want to do this, but it's like I want to love people and I want it to be judgment free, but I don't like specifically want to flaunt my Christianity around, like and I'm still not even sure if that's like a choice or if that was just because I don't know, because I was maybe scared about it as well. Anyway, but the last,
was that like you were scared people would see that you're a Christian and feel
judge
judged
me from
by
that. Yeah, I'd
or
say
judge
so.
you from that, or think you're judging them.
All of it.
All
of the above.
Yeah.
Because I do think that's really prevalent in being a Christian, like being judged for being a Christian, but also like the other way around, like people will feel judged by you because of like prejudices that they have potentially about other people that are Christians that have,
or like bad experiences they've had.
Bad experiences. Yeah. So I think all of that kind of mixed up, and throughout my college career, that's not the right thing to say, but throughout those 2 years, it slowly became less and less of a thing I was, what's the word, like making first in my life. There's a concise word of saying that. Was making
him your number one.
That's it. I was making it. I wasn't. It just kind of started falling off the back burner a bit. And then I'd say about April this year, a few life things happened, and stuff started coming up, and I was like, you know what, I need to reevaluate my life, think about what I really want, and life is only so short, only so long. And like, you need to live for now. Like, this is not, like just intentions, like it was the main thing. And so reevaluating what I was doing, and I'd say in the last however long it's been since April, it's been much more of a focus of my life, and the benefits have been brilliant, which I can't wait to get into if we get around to talking about that on this podcast today. But yeah, just like since then basically has been more of an active choice for myself, instead of being more passive. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, definitely.
If I remember really what the question was, but I think that's my story in Christianity.
No, that's so good to hear, and that's such so true. I think so many people experience that, of it turns from being your parents' faith or whoever's brought you up in the faith, it turns from being just theirs, it has to become your own faith, your own personal relationship with God. Like in Christianity, we talk a lot about it not being about a religion, and not being about rule following. That's not the center ground point of Christianity, the center of it is a relationship with God, with a loving God who loves us and who made a way through Jesus to forgive us and to set us free. And that turns from a point of it being about what your parents believe and stuff and what your parents' relationship with God is. It's got to be your own personal relationship, which obviously you can have from a child. You can have that personal relationship, but it's those, as you say, it's always a choice, and it's making those choices for yourself. And and actually one of the questions, it kind of relates to a question I've got, so we will come back to this in a bit, but you spoke a little bit there about college and everything as well. So, and we've spoken about that you're doing it as well. And just wondered if we could speak a little bit about kind of catch us up since then, like since college you had a gap year, right? And well, you're currently having a gap year. So but it's been a very productive gap year of like, you know, you're working, you're doing loads. So yeah, maybe like if you just kind of summarize for us what you've been up to with Guildhall, with your current job, and obviously you're doing it as well alongside that. And yeah, if it happens to come in, maybe speak about, this is a bit throwing you on the spot, but where do you see God in all of this? You know, like, because I know we've had conversations as well, because as actors it can be really hard. You don't know what 1 month looks like to the next sometimes, or certainly a lot of the times what 1 year looks like to the next. So I don't know what I'm doing next year. You might not know what you're doing next year, and we've spoken about this and like how that can be challenging sometimes, and also wanting to know that we're following God's will as well. But God is so gracious, I think, and he doesn't put that amount of pressure on us that we put on ourselves sometimes to be like, where do you want me, God? And I've learned a lot about that recently. But yeah, I just wondered if you could kind of briefly talk about what you're currently doing and how that gap year's going and stuff. But yeah, and then also all of that stuff. Does that make sense?
That's a meaty topic.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Where to begin? So I left college last year in June, and there I did a BTEC for performing arts, and I also thought, let's add some more eggs in my basket. Is that the right word? I don't know.
I love that. I don't know if the camera will like get the whole, but that was
I became a hen.
That was so like, I am about to sing Think of Me from the Phantom of the Opera.
Think of me. Okay, no, we won't do that now. The microphone might break. So yes, I want to do other skills as well as the performing arts thing. So I did media studies and photography A-levels. So, you know, I've got a bit of experience in other things going forward. I was like, I think I should have some plan Bs. And so I left that in June. And then from then through Tabby, again, probably about the fifth time we've mentioned Tabby today.
Not sponsored by Tabby Webb.
She knows a director who came to do one of our choir concerts and do a poem there for us on our very first concert. And he was looking for an assistant at the time, or someone to work with him. And so I went and did a day of work with him. And then from then, January this year, basically just been working with him as a personal assistant, which has been an absolute learning curve. I can tell you this has probably been the most like difficult year of my life. Not just for that reason, but multiple reasons. But that has been an amazing opportunity. I'm so forever be grateful to Tabby for that, because it's been brilliant. And so been doing that, and then also a few other jobs here and there, and of course it as well has been my first kind of professional theatre job, which has been incredible, because like that actually is a direct way of bringing in your second point. That's a perfect way of showing how the Lord has like given me such a blessing, because having that as my first professional job's been like, I mean, already if you guys are in the industry, you'll know how difficult it is to be in work. And so when you are in work, I'm talking as if I've done this for 10 years. It's only my first year in the industry. Like, you know what I mean? Like I've had so many people, you know, most actors are out of work all the time, not all the time, but you know, at any given moment. So to have that come along, thanks to Katrina Markham, it was just an absolute blessing. And I was like, gosh, this is amazing. Like for this to come along in in a way also kind of changed my life. So
and could I just say as well, Joy Anna is incredible. You're so
Aww.
talented and you're so gifted and you are perfect for the show.
Thank you.
But
That's
sorry,
very
do
kind.
continue.
That's very kind. Thank you, Kat. So yeah, what else have I been up to? I've been just like auditioning for different opportunities. It's been the first year that I've kind of been unleashed to the wild and trying to navigate my life and where I want to go with my passions and what God's given me. Like, so yeah, I mean, now I'm blanking. I don't know what else I've been up to.
I did kind of divert you there, sorry. But with what you were talking about kind of not knowing what's next and things like that, have you found certain ways that have helped you kind of cope with that? Or, you know, even during the It As Well process, I know we spoke about that a fair bit on our little car journey.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything that's kind of helped you?
Yeah. That's definitely a big thing in my life, as my mum will know, because we always chat about this, and I've come to her crying on many occasion on just the pressures and the stresses of this weird thing we do. Like,
it's very weird.
It's really weird, and it's just so like turbulent and unpredictable, and so I'm in a very lucky position that I don't need to pay. I'm not living in like central London having to pay rent, for example, because that I can imagine would be an absolute, you know, like I'm still living with my parents, so it's not like a massive stress on me to have to create money to live and stuff, which is a massive blessing compared to other people who are in a different situation. But it's still just like a stress because I constantly just worry about what on earth I'm doing and like what's going to come next, and is this a silly idea, which I think we both have like worries about and stuff, especially when you kind of get told in society that this isn't really like a proper career. Like most people would not take you seriously, which is something quite, I mean, that's fine. They don't have to take us seriously because it's kind of not a serious job. Like it's a bit wacky. But where am I deviating off into now? But it's something that we feel has been put onto our hearts to do. So it's just navigating that. And so trusting God in it has been really difficult at times. Like it's a constant. I think I've had the earlier part of this year I definitely had this thing like I'm independently going for what I'm doing. Like most of my friends have gone to uni to do other stuff, and so I'm like, okay, I'm on my own. I need to do this the way I feel like I need to do it, and taking it all on independently, which has felt so just heavy. And then you realize, like I was saying, like throughout this year, I've realized more and more that just resting it on the Lord is like,
yeah,
it's just a breath of fresh air.
Oh,
it's a breath of fresh air, and it's just invaluable. Like I don't know how people do it. Without God in your life, because there's just so much stress and like so much insecurity and like identity. It's massive in this industry. People who are just trying to find who they are in what they do, and essentially you will never find that. So
and our faith teaches us that that's not where you find your identity.
It's two different things. It's disconnected. Like realizing that our identity is who we are rather than what we do, and that's been a massive struggle
in Jesus.
Yes, who we are in Jesus,
how he sees
compared
us
to what we do in this industry, and still that might be obviously that goes together. For example, It Is Well With My Soul, like that's, you know, like who we are, we can represent that in what we're doing, but it's not the same thing, and that's been such a big thing like throughout my life, because doing ballet was very, I didn't probably admit it when I was younger, but it was definitely like my identity essentially. So going into acting and into musical theatre, singing and still dancing, it's like I'm really happy that I had that, because you realize that it's not the same, and you recognize when you are starting to fall into that tendency of thinking that's what you are, because you get so many, you know, cutthroat comments and people don't like what you do, and that's, do you know what I mean, like you get criticisms, and directors aren't always, you know, like they're not going to be necessarily kind to you all the time, because that's not really how life is. And so to have a grounded position and know who you are in Jesus, and know that you are loved whatever you do, you can't do anything to change that you are loved, is such a special, like, that's just the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so, so good. And thank you. And yeah, it's so true, because that's the same then, you know, whether you're working or not, you're still loved the same, and God still has an amazing plan for your life. And sometimes we can't see what's in front of us, what's around the corner, but God knows, and God has got a plan. And I think I've had like hard times where I've been out of work, and just when I came out of drama school, I had this year where I was doing some work but not like anything that was full time, and just wondering when and if that was ever going to happen, and struggling to get an agent at that time and stuff. And I was just like, you know, you get so stressed out about it. But now I see, and I probably haven't got time to share it now, but like this kind of, I just see this clear pattern of what God was doing and how it worked out. And, you know, and that's, I mean, people say it all the time, but that's why, you know, it's so true. Like on social media, you really don't see the full story. Like people might have seen the work I've done recently, and it looks like, yeah, I've been successful and stuff. But number one, I've only been successful because of God's grace. And number two, like they haven't seen all the, you know, the behind the scenes. And there was like a year of tears really that led to the points of, yeah. And I've, you know, and I hope this encourages you as well with like the things we've spoken about not knowing what's around the corner and stuff, but God really does know, and he really does have a plan. And kind of telling the short version of the story I have is that I'd had this kind of year where I really struggled. And then I'd been to Ireland. I came back and I was like, I want to just pack everything up and move to Ireland. Like I just want to, and my heart really wanted to do that. And I, you know, I still feel like that kind of pull in a way. So maybe, you know, never say never, but it was kind of coupled with this thing of almost just wanting to get away from everything that had been happening with my career. And I kind of said to God, if nothing changes over the summer, that's what I'm going to do. But then it was literally like over the summer, everything changed. And the kind of, yeah, anyway, without going into it loads, basically, there was these like guest worship people at our church leading the singing and everything. And they said that they felt someone at the church had been sowing for a long time and now was the time to reap. And my mum turned around to me and was like, I think that's for you. And I was just like, oh, I don't know, I'm used to disappointments as an actor, so we'll see. But it really was. It was like, I felt like I'd been sewing for such a long time. I'd been to drama school since I was 16 for 5 years. I'd like spent this year, like didn't really take my foot off the gas. Apart from this 1 month I went to Ireland and I actually took a break. I just felt like my foot was on the gas all the time and I was just burnt out like so much. And yeah, and they said, now's the time to reap. And literally that summer is when everything changed. I got an agent, I got my first like longer acting contract, which led to the next one. I got it as well, was that same time I got offered that. And just like literally it was just crazy. But like the point isn't the success that came. It's the point that like God held me through all of that. That's why I had that hope that God was going to come through, and he really did. But even in those times where I was still waiting, God was the same. He still loved me the same. He was still just as present as he is now. And that's something I am always reminded of now as well. Whenever I pray, like, God be with me, I think it's still, I don't want to like word police it, do you know what I mean? And be like, oh, that's not technically true because God is with you. But I remind myself that anyway, because I'm like, I'm inviting God. I want to like acknowledge his presence right now, but he is always with me. He's closer than the air in my lungs. And he's not just with us, he loves us so much. So well, we're in good hands basically. And yeah, and that I kind of would love you to share off of that. Maybe I know you said a bit about during it as well, there was a lot that happened that kind of felt quite transformational for you and stuff. Or is that where you were kind of earlier, we kind of parked that for a second, but I'd love if you would like to speak about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So so what I was saying, like in April, my granddad on my dad's side passed away, which was a massive shock. He was super healthy, like the healthiest 77-year-old you'll ever meet. He won a arm war thing, you know, like the things literally like a week before he passed away.
Wow.
Which was like weird, but he had some heart issues, and actually that's a testimony on its own, like just the way he died, really. He died very peacefully, and so that was like quite a big shock to us all, specifically my dad, of course, and that's the first time that one of my grandparents have died. So that was like something new for me, and just anyone really close to me that had passed away. So obviously I'm lucky in that way, but also it was just new and weird. And so from that, like they had always, both of them, my grandma and granddad on that side, have always spent basically their lives like just loving on people, essentially, like the whole lives. And they were a wacky couple, but like, keeps using the word wacky. I don't know where it's come from. Like they were mad, but also just like very loving on everyone. Like they spent their lives moving around, traveling. He was a vicar, so like basically looking after people's houses and preaching in their churches around the world, especially in Morocco and South Africa, and they did go other places, but majority of their time was spent there. And yeah, like when he died, the amount of people that reached out to my grandma about like, oh, you guys changed our lives, like we're so grateful to you for showing us Jesus, and showing us a different way of like living that's changed our lives. And like from that I was thinking, hang on, like, okay, like that's the first time that kind of the word legacy has come into my life, because what do I want to leave behind when I'm not here? I know I'm only 19, but life happens. So I was like, hey, actually I might need to change some stuff and like figure out, maybe this isn't, like I need to just live intentionally. Like what am I doing, and am I choosing to follow God, or am I not choosing to follow God? Because there is a moment, like my mum's always said this year to me, like there is a moment you've got to choose, because it is a choice. It's a massive choice. It affects everything in your life. And so from that, took me a bit of time. Like I think, yeah, different things happened, and I got invited to do an Alpha course, which was really exciting at King's Cross Church, which I'm trying out some of the services now, and they're brilliant. But just to let you know, loads of young people, passionate. It's great. It's amazing.
And also just to for anyone that doesn't know, Alpha course is kind of a course where often you'll go every week and watch like a video and discuss something, maybe have a meal together, and it's about learning more about Christianity, about what Jesus did for us and what that means for us now. Is that kind of a good way to summarize
perfect.
it?
That's brilliant. So did that with a few young people, which was like also the first time I'd really met, apart from you and apart from a few other people in my life, Christians at my age, which is something I'd never really had before, like weirdly, because obviously you go to school and stuff, but it's not really the same when you leave school and you don't have those people anymore, or do you know what I mean? Like, so yes, I did a few things, and that's kind of led me to now. And I feel like I'm kind of flourishing more and more in my journey with Jesus and our relationship. Yeah,
that's amazing. And what do you kind of feel is the benefit of that? Do you feel different, or do you feel more, grounded? Or
I think it's people say that you like God comes up in times when you're struggling, like a lot, like as in you feel closer to him when you're struggling, when you're going through that harder time. And I've definitely felt that this year. I think it's come at a perfect time. Like it's been something that's helped me to actually, I almost just pulled the cord there. Stop playing with the cord. It's been, like just perfect timing. And so what was the question again?
About how has being drawing near to God helped you, or have you felt a difference?
Yeah, if I felt a difference. So I'd say quite a big difference. I don't know if externally there's been a difference. I wouldn't know, but I do think that internally there's been a source of peace, which I didn't have before. Because like leaning on your own independent, like I've got this, I can do it, which is a very today thing to do. It's just very in our culture, I think, which isn't wrong, but I feel like there's so much of that actually you can't do, because when you get tired and when you struggle and life doesn't go right, what are you gonna do? There's nowhere to lean back on and like to just be held by. Because so I think internally there's been a massive shift for me, just feeling so much more at peace with life, and just being able to know that my plan is in God's hands. Like there is no stress about it, even though I go through ups and downs of feeling really stressed and really blah,
which
about
is real,
life,
because we're human.
Exactly. But just knowing also, even in that time, in the back of your head, you know that there is a plan, that there is, everything is mapped out for you. There is nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
And that's such a big, like...
Yes, such a relief, such a relief. Such a hope that we have, you know, and like that's based in what the Bible says. You know, the Bible, I mean, can I think off the top of my head where it's from, but it says we know that in all things God works together for the good of those who love him, who are called according to his purpose. So as Christians, as people that love God, as people that believe we're called to, you know, to be his vessels on this earth and to serve him, we know that he will work all things together for good. And, you know, that kind of goes into the whole everything happens for a reason thing. I don't necessarily believe that, but because I don't believe God causes painful things to happen, or, you know, wrong things to happen to us. But I do believe that he will work in all things to bring about good, which is a massive comfort as well. And we are getting like close to the end of the podcast now, but I just wanted to ask, just to check, because I wanted to check I didn't divert you away from it. I know earlier you was talking about it as well, and that's been part of your like faith journey of the last year of where was there anything you wanted to say about that in particular? I remember you had some good conversations during that time. I don't know if that's what you was going to speak about.
Yes,
but
that's another thing. Yeah. I just think it was such a blessing to be part of it, and surrounded by people who also believe in God. And so we did have like there was a day that we were traveling from I think it was from Dunstable, that's coming up, isn't it? From Dudley to London that day, and I was in Gareth's van with Sarah, his wife, who does who does sign language and who does all our shows.
Yeah, she does the BSL interpretation.
She's fantastic.
So cool.
She's so cool. And we learned so much from that as well. Like the way she like signed us as characters.
Yeah,
it was so cool.
Because I didn't know that in sign language you'll spell out the person's name when you're introducing their name, spell out the letters, but then you'll abbreviate it to like one sign that kind of is like a nickname that you know who they're talking about straight away. And so should we show to the camera, if you're watching on the camera, my mum was this, which is Lucy, and that was, if you're listening on the audio, I am putting one finger in each dimple to show that I have very prominent dimples. And that meant that she was talking about Lucy, my character. What was yours?
I don't know.
Oh,
I think it was sister. I think she signed sister, which I'm not sure what it is,
sister.
but I think she did sign for sister. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So sorry. Yeah. So we had that conversation.
So yeah, we were in the van together and we were just having a conversation. I was like, because also like before, because I'd kind of been in church all the time. Well, before in my life, like I've been in church all my life. And so worship has been a massive thing, and like that slowly kind of turned into something very stale for me. And so like really questioning why we even worship at that point. So like I was just in the van talking to him. I was like, what, like, why do we worship? Why do we like pray out loud as well? Because again, like this was not a foreign thing to me. This is something that I've done all my life. But there came a point at school where I was like literally like rehearsing my prayer in my head and then sweating because I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to do this out loud, and like I'm gonna mess it up and blah blah blah. And then it literally just becomes for the approval of people, which is I think why I kind of went off it, the whole thing, because I was like, I don't get why I'm doing this. It just feels all the time, it just feels scary and I don't really know why I'm doing it. So I was asking them this stuff in the van and just their perspective on it and why they do it and stuff. So, and then I think it's just really fun and like just had some really interesting answers that helped me to kind of think about it. And yeah, it just felt lovely. Like it was such a judgment-free question and answer, like fun experience in the van. Yeah. So yeah, I remember having such a good time there. And so I think from that, and also from the musical, just having that focus and focusing on just the story of the Blisses. It just brought things up in my head and in my life and made me think. Which I think, again, from Jesus, straight out of his plan for our lives.
Yes.
And also, since then, I've really felt I enjoy worship so much more. Not necessarily from that van ride, but that did stir things up, you know. And I've enjoyed, like, Lauren Daigle's been a massive part of that too.
Yeah.
Like just listening to her songs and from recommended by Kat. So from that, like just enjoying it again, like finding music that I love, and then also with a message I really love, and listening to that on my long, because I do a very long commute to work, so listening to loads of that kind of stuff, and podcasts by the Helsers as well, which have been really good. I don't think I've told you about that. So
I like the Helsers. I didn't know they had
brilliant.
a podcast.
Yes. Want to do that 18-inch journey thing. Like their course, you go to America and do this like 3-month course.
Whoa.
I want to do that when I'm 21. But anyway, so yeah, like just stuff like that, and I think it's just helped. So I think I deviated off the question, but that is the answer.
No, that is so good.
Yeah.
So good. And I think what this episode has kind of really highlighted is just that, you know, number one, be real with God. We don't have to pretend we're perfect, because God knows we're not. He knows we're human. We don't. I definitely know that. I definitely know I'm not perfect. And God wants us to bring it all to him with honesty, you know, just like we've done in this podcast. But we're carried by that, and we've got something to kind of catch us, you know, to lean back on, because God has got us. He has given us reasons to hope, and there's even more to come in the future that we're hoping for, that we don't know, that God knows. And he's just got such a beautiful plan for your life, Joy Anna. And and also something we didn't get to talk about loads, and we have run out of time, but like, just to tell everyone, you are such a good example of being so authentically yourself. You know, you don't try to fit the mold or anything. You are just Joy Anna. You are the person that God has created you to be. And I think you do, probably without even realizing, you do such a good job at just being so authentic in that. And it's just such a joy to see, and that's why you give so much joy to other people too. And you were definitely named very well as Joy Anna, because you do, like, you just emulate that word, you know, you really do. And it's a gift, and it's something that God's put over you, I think. And he's got an amazing plan for you, and I hope that this has inspired people listening, that God also has an amazing plan for your life. And you know, it's about being real. It's about taking it one day at a time, because this time last year we wouldn't have known what we're doing this year. This time next year we're having a whole other conversation. Do you know what I mean? And I just hope that this podcast, and I'm sure it will really bless people.
Absolutely.
And I'm just so thankful for you being my first guest.
Kat, thank you so much. It's been brilliant. Like, you're such a blessing in my life, and such a, like, just, you're amazing.
You're amazing.
I'm just like, I'm so blessed to have someone who's a few years older than me as well, to show like example in my life, like something I've not had before. And I think I've said this to you before, but like, just like, that's such a special thing to have, like someone I can look up to, and you are such an inspiration. And I love you.
Oh,
I love you.
And that's so nice to hear. And I'm always here for you.
Thank you. As I am for you.
And you're such a good friend to me. Thank you. So thank you for joining us, everyone. We're sending you loads of love and hugs and good vibes. Mwah. From me, Katrina, and
me, Joy Anna.
We love you lots, and keep hoping. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.